From Provo, Utah, this is the Ultimate Final Fantasy Podcast with your hosts, Joseph DeGolier and Caleb Schweiss. This is Ultima Final Fantasy.
Welcome to another episode of Ultima Final Fantasy, the Ultimate Final Fantasy Podcast. I am your host, Caleb Schweiss.
And I am your other host, Joseph DeGolier.
And today we will be reviewing Final Fantasy VII, Advent Children Complete. Now, we have seen the original version of this movie numerous times, because we...
I'm assuming most people who are listening to this podcast have seen Advent Children.
Right, and this was... it was my first time experiencing the complete edition. Same for you.
Mine also, yes.
Okay. So we do recall, there were some definite changes to the story. I mean, some of it was mere additions, and some of it was, actual changing. And, we'll be getting into that today. We'll be going elbow deep into the beautifulness of Advent Children. But first, we've got some iTunes reviews to read.
We got a lot of iTunes reviews to read.
We do.
A lot. In fact, I have to zoom up on the screen. What we found out this week was that our international reviews, the ones outside of the United States, we could not see unless we signed into that country. So I was able to find some international ones outside of, I think we got 4 new reviews from the States. So I'm going to check Canada, the United Kingdom, and Brazil.
Okay.
So if you're outside of that and you gave us an iTunes review and you're wondering why we didn't say your review on the show, that's why.
Yeah, it's super weird to me that they would do that, but...
We didn't realize that was the case. We
Yeah.
thought that those reviews came from everywhere, but I guess they're just the States. So if you left us a review and you're not in Canada, the UK, or Brazil, or the United States, as are the reviews that me and Caleb will be reading tonight, if you're not in those countries, if you're in a totally different country, send us an email and let us know what country we need to check on iTunes so that we can read your review. Just go to the contact page on our website.
Right, because we definitely want to read those on air. That's something we enjoy doing.
Right, unless it's a really bad review, then just don't tell us about it. Don't tell us about Zimbabwe's 1-star review or whatever.
We're pissed.
Yeah. Let's see. So I think Wolfpack is the first one. Can you see that, Caleb?
No, pull it over here.
Okay, pull it over here. Sorry, 1 second, guys. Oh, for you guys who were hoping for a YouTube behind-the-scenes video of this episode, we're really sorry. Google Hangouts is not working today.
Yeah.
For some reason.
It might be the computer since...
It could be the computer we were trying it on since we were using a different computer today rather than last time to try it on. But
right.
I can't have this computer do the audio and the video at the same time.
It's too much, yeah.
It's too much for it. And last week we used Craig's computer, but it is unavailable tonight.
Yep.
All right, so our first review comes from Wolfpack 101. He says, "Great find, 5 stars. Just started listening to you guys a week ago. Great podcast on some of my favorite games of all time, Final Fantasy. Keep up the good work."
Oh,
so
thanks.
I'm wondering if he's even got here, if he just started listening.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, but,
You might. There are some that just listen to the main review episodes and whatever interests them. So.
Well, hopefully this is one of them.
Yeah,
thank you, Wolfpack 101.
Yeah, we appreciate it. The next one is titled Apple ID Just for This.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's from Frag This V2. It says, "Love the show. Takes me back to my childhood. You guys are one of my favorite FF. Okay. Love all the advice and talk on the show. The sandwich and drink episode was a nice switch up. Keep up the good work."
I was afraid of that episode, but so far we've had a lot of positive comments.
I was very afraid of that episode, but good job.
All right. Thank you very much, Frag This V2, for getting an Apple ID just for that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
This is from Travis264. He says, good show. 5-star review, of course. He says, I'm glad I found this podcast in a sea of FF14 podcasts. It's very conversational from people that actually like the games and franchise. It has weekly news, various segments, as well as insights on older games as they play through them. Definitely a lot better than Final Fantasy Union.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah. Essentially, since they only post once a month about... how's there no news in jaded negative attitudes about the series and its creators? Not sure what that last part meant.
Especially since they only post once a month about how there's no news in jaded negative attitudes about the series.
Okay, so creators. I just read it wrong.
So they're more negative than we are?
I don't get that feeling from them, but I kind of stopped listening to them since we've gotten deeper into this.
Yeah, I haven't listened to them for a long time, so...
All right.
Well, thank you.
Thank you very much. Right. And then we have our favorite review of the night.
Yes. It's titled Good But... ... Yeah. 3-star review from Final Fantasy Lover 80.
Our first 3-star review.
Yeah, this stings.
Our lowest.
All right, so they say, I'm a big Final Fantasy fan, and I'm also in my early to mid-30s. Okay, I'm always looking for a new podcast to listen to, and I stumbled upon this one. I've enjoyed it for the most part. The two guys who run this are very knowledgeable, but there are a few things that could be worked on to make the podcast even better. I realize there is an explicit rating, but I feel like these guys throw in the F-bomb often and unnecessarily.
Oh, that's fucking not true.
It's not necessary to convey your point by punctuating it with curse words all the time. Most of the stuff the guys talk about is interesting and shows their love for the series. There was one annoyance in an episode where they were talking about Final Fantasy V, and they kept referring to the character of Tella from Final Fantasy IV as Fusoya repeatedly. If you are okay with the foul language and occasional slip-up, the content and premise of the show makes it worth a listen.
So 1 star off for the foul language and another star off
for the mistake.
For the mistake of mixing up Fusoya and Tella. Very similar characters from Final Fantasy IV and Final Fantasy V. Although, if I believe that it's the Final Fantasy V review episode, I do think we corrected ourselves. Or myself. I think I was the one who was making that mistake.
Yeah, I don't know, it might have happened.
Just a name mix-up. Sorry about that, guys.
Yeah, the characters, they had more depth, we'd remember. Not that I don't, not that I have any disdain towards either character. It's just they are kind of similar.
Mm-hmm. So I'm waiting here for the Canada iTunes to load.
Yeah, it takes a sec.
Yep.
Yeah, it's interesting how different iTunes looks
again.
for certain countries. Like
it doesn't look any different for Canada,
not
except
for Canada.
That we're ranked way lower in their Final Fantasy area.
Yeah.
Okay, we got 2 reviews from the Great White North. We have one that is from Matt_B. Well, that was luckily this month, so it wasn't that bad. This is 8NVN Wi-Fi VNIV3.
Interesting name for the review. I wonder if that's supposed to be
8NIV Wi-Fi VNIV 3.
I don't know.
Is that his Wi-Fi connection name, you think?
I don't know, dude. I have no idea what that is.
I don't know either. He says, or I'm assuming it's his Matt. I enjoy this podcast very much, and they are putting out a lot of good content regularly. If you like FF, then this is a great podcast to listen to. Keep up the great work, guys. I can't wait to get to my fave game, which is Final Fantasy IX.
Lots of favorites for 9.
That's true, yeah. A lot of people on the forums like 9 a lot.
That is very true. All right, we got one from Preacher6556. It's titled Awesome Podcast, 5 stars. I was searching for a Final Fantasy podcast forever.
Final Fantasy.
Sorry. I tried Final Fantasy Union, but found it boring and extremely negative. Then I found this one.
Everybody's finding them so negative. I don't. Maybe it's early stuff from them because I don't.
Yeah.
I've never found them super negative.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I think we're
They used to have a third host, and that third host was pretty negative. But now they only got like the two.
Huh.
So
I don't know. I haven't listened to early stuff. So he says, then I found this one and listened to one episode, finding it informative but light and somewhat funny. Then I listened,
but we swear all the fucking time. Apparently.
Yeah. Then I listened to swinging fan fiction with Tifa and Cloud in the shower. I was dying of laughter so much my girlfriend thought I was in pain.
Oh,
she then listened and was rolling on the floor with me. Man. Why someone thought that pissing into someone was sexy at all amazes me. Me too, man.
That was the worst one.
That one's been my favorite, though.
Oh,
even though that ended,
it's favorite to listen to, but I was having trouble getting through that fan
it was
fiction.
tough.
It was rough.
It was. It says, even though that ended, this is still a fun podcast that gives overall positive feel. Thanks, and keep up the good work. P.S. Why does everyone hate on FF13?
I don't feel like we do.
I don't. Well, not
you do.
I do. I hate the summons.
I tried to defend it.
I can't stand the way that what they did with the summons, but that's about it. I don't hate the game.
No. I
like it more than 8 so far.
Yes, we are in the middle of Final Fantasy VIII. That review was from September 23rd, 2014. So Preacher 6556, I'm really sorry. We just didn't see the Canadian reviews.
Right. We'll be on the lookout from now on. So.
Well, if you give us a review, go into our contact page and just tell us what country to look it up from if you're not in the States. Just because there's too many countries to,
there's a
to
lot.
pick from. There's like I assumed since we had a lot of Canadian listeners there'd be a couple, so that's where I first checked.
Right.
We are going to look into the UK right now,
which is our second biggest country.
Is it?
Yes.
Is it above Canada?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Well, Canada, step it up. Jeez.
Yeah, man. We're neighbors.
All right. We got one nice short review from Samuel Croft from the 17th of October. He says, good all-rounder. It's 5 stars. These guys are really easy to listen to. Good fun and lots of news. I love the reviews, and they keep getting me in the mood to play Final Fantasy. 10 out of 10. Would. Listen.
Well, thanks.
Thank you very much.
Sam Croft, I believe, is also one of the members on our forums.
Is he?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, it does sound like a familiar name.
Yeah.
Let's
I think he might
here.
be one of the ones that's like still a white mage. I think it's him that he always logs on.
Maybe he was mad that we didn't say his review.
Maybe. No, he always logs on, I think, but he never posts. He's like very sparse.
All right. I know we have one from Brazil.
Sweet.
So.
Oh, now it's looking way different.
Yeah. Australia and New Zealand, though, I was disappointed in. Whoa. Okay. They have things in different order in Brazil as far as what apps go first.
They do.
Okay, that was weird.
All right, so this one's titled Great FF Podcast from Luis Ribeiro.
I think it's Louis Ribeiro.
Ribeiro? Yeah, -BR. Battle Rifle. Nice.
Or Brazil.
It could be Halo. All right, so it's from the 9th of October, and he says, this is my favorite FF podcast. I'm still trying to catch up, listening to some old episodes, but so far, I'm very happy that I found Ultima Final Fantasy podcast, and I love listening to it while at work and on my way home. The best thing that I like is that the content is authentic, and both hosts do not try to sound like some kind of experts on the subject, and just expose their opinions in a great and, on many times, hilarious way.
Thank you very much.
Yes. For any who like FF and even games in general, I recommend this podcast. For the hosts, just wanted to give you guys from the Ultimate FF podcast, and for anyone looking for a good game podcast, my review. Hope you guys like it, and please keep up the great work.
Sorry we didn't read it until now.
Yeah. Well, now that we know it's here.
I'm sorry, I'm having trouble with your name. But thank you so much for the review. That was a lot of review, Caleb. We want to thank you guys for the reviews. Once again, if you're in a different country, send us an email and tell us to go check it out.
Yeah, we had no idea.
And Australia and New Zealand, we know we have listeners. So where are those reviews at, guys?
Yeah. How can you be on the forum and not review us? Like, that's just strange.
Yeah, seriously. Okay, enough bashing of our own listeners. Let's go on to the news.
Let's do it.
Okay, so I know we missed news last week, but this week we're going to catch up on news real quick. There isn't much. Only 50 teams, apparently, have beaten Final Fantasy XIV's Final Coil of Bahamut raid.
Good God.
Which I do believe they unveiled at the Final Fantasy XIV convention. Am I right?
They did, yeah.
Or was that... No, it was Odin, wasn't it?
They let you try Odin.
They let you try Odin, but Final
talked...
Coil of Bahamut?
Yeah, they talked about that one coming out, too.
So if anybody wishes to give their team a challenge, which I believe it's an 8-person challenge, go ahead and try that out and see if you can maybe add to the number of teams that have beaten Final Fantasy XIV's Final Coil of Bahamut.
Yeah, that's pretty sick.
Yeah. Next up in news, we have a new Final Fantasy Type 0 HD trailer. It's subtitled "We Have Arrived." It's just like a 1-minute trailer with English voice tracks, kind of set up like a little teaser movie trailer. And then then at the end it goes, be sure to pre-order the Final Fantasy Type 0 HD so that you can get the demo for Final Fantasy 15.
Yeah, they know what you want.
The real selling point.
Right. It kind of is. I mean, that's why one of the big reasons why I'm going to buy it.
Yeah, we got to buy Type 0 anyway, just for the podcast, and I'm interested in playing it, certainly. But
might as well get the one with the demo.
But, of course, the demo is an extra little thing that we would all like to have.
Right. So next up, we've got Final Fantasy 13-2 for PC. Apparently it has most of the console DLCs, but not all of them.
Yeah, they were under certain contracts that they couldn't get out of for some of the DLC, I guess, which I don't know what those were. But there is a list of the DLCs you will get with the PC version of the game. You can get, in the Coliseum battles, you can still get Omega, Gilgamesh, Ultros and Typhon, Poo-Poo, Lightning, and Lieutenant Amodar, and SciComm Officer Jill Nabat. You can also get a few outfits for Sarah, Noel, Mog, and a couple scenario and DLCs. You can get the Saw's Heads or Tails scenario DLC, Lightning, Requiem of the Goddess, and Snow Perpetual Battlefield. Unfortunately, I've not played Final Fantasy 13-2 through all the way, so I don't know what any of that means. But for you people that have, don't worry, we'll be getting to it on the podcast relatively quickly. 6 months, so
yeah.
7, 8, 9, 10. When we get to that, we'll have more information on those DLCs for you.
Yes, for sure. So we also have Final Fantasy Explorers. Now, they've showed a few new screenshots, and it's got some Alexander in it. It's got some Diablos in it.
Yeah, the Diablos looks like the Diablos from 8.
It does. And, of course, they're going to be respective to their traditional attacks. Diablos with the gravity. Alexander, I guess he's just massive, as always. He's a giant castle thing, so... He's got his Holy Judgment attack, yeah.
Yes.
That one's sick. So, yeah, it looks cool. I'm still excited to play that.
Yeah, it looks pretty good. I still don't know if it's going to come over here to the States.
I hope so. They're making us read all this news about it. So.
But last but certainly not least, a new Final Fantasy game has been announced with a couple sprites being released. It's called Final Fantasy Brave Exvius. The art is going to be done by Yoshitaka Amano, which we, of course, did an episode on. Mm-hmm. And it's going to be made in collaboration with Brave Frontier developer called Alim.
Okay.
So we'll see if that's any good. It's going to be a free-to-play smartphone game.
Yeah.
Another one for Final Fantasy.
Yeah, going back to the 2D sprites. That's fun.
So, a very short news segment for you guys today, just so that we could make room for the very long review segment.
Of course. That's what everyone loves.
Sorry about that. I'm sure next week it'll be a much shorter review segment, though we do very much appreciate all those who have given us reviews. And we're, once again, sorry that we didn't go back to them. Real quick, as far as podcast news go, podcast news goes, we do have 2 Patreon supporters right now.
Correct.
A total of $24. Remember, our next goal is $75. Now, what happens at the $75?
We start doing HD video.
Start doing
YouTube.
HD video, which does not require Google Hangouts to do. I get my T3i camera, and I'll have to buy an extra capacity hard disk drive thing, whatever that thing is.
Yeah.
And we will have HD video and audio with the episodes. That's at the $75 rate. So if you want to join those who have begun supporting us on Patreon, please go to patreon.com, search Ultima Final Fantasy, and support us there.
We appreciate it a lot.
Certainly. With the $24, we are actually like barely clearing our
costs.
Our minimal cost for the show. So thank you very much to those 2 who have donated. One of those donators has signed up for an episode to be...
to come into the discussion segment and talk about Final Fantasy with us.
Yes, that too. An episode dedication to them.
Right.
Which we have to ask them if they want their code name, their avatar name, or their real name to be said on the show. So that's why this episode is not yet dedicated to that person. And also, he's going to get a sticker, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, for his car.
A sweet bumper sticker.
Bumper sticker. That's right. I'm just having trouble tonight for some reason.
Well, it is kind of late.
It is really late. We're starting this review at 12:30 a.m., and I'm used to going to bed at right around 10 lately, so this is fun stuff. Let's get to a very loopy review of Final Fantasy VII Advent Children Complete. Are you ready, Caleb?
Oh, I've always been ready. So let's talk about development history.
Well, let's talk about that. Okay, I got a list here of little things about the development of Final Fantasy Advent Children and Advent Children Complete, of course. The idea from the movie, just doing a Final Fantasy CGI kind of movie, came from the success of the hidden ending in Kingdom Hearts Final Mix. They wanted to do a full movie with lots of cool fight scenes. At least that's what Tetsuya Nomura wanted. He just wanted cool fight scenes.
No, that seems about right.
In the style of the hidden cutscene at the end of Kingdom Hearts Final Mix. That's interesting, I think, because wouldn't you get the idea of doing a Final Fantasy movie from a certain Final Fantasy movie?
Yeah,
from a few years before?
Maybe. I mean, maybe they wanted one that they knew would be more successful, maybe. They could have continued.
They certainly spent a lot less money on Advent
They did,
Children than they did on The Spirits Within.
Yeah, that's weird.
The original script... Okay, so we're getting 2 different things of information. They said they wanted to do a movie because of that, a full movie, but they had a short film script first.
Right.
So the original script was only a 20-minute long script, so a 20-page script. And it was about a woman giving a message to a child to give to Cloud. Kitase and Nojima brought in Nomura as director, even though Nomura was the one who had the idea in the first place, who started coming up with more ideas, including that of Marlene being the narrator of the film. It was originally going to be called Reunion, but was changed to Advent Children later. The film, still in development, was invited to go to the world-famous Venice Film Festival. They went and made a 20-minute showcase, and then after they made that 20-minute showcase of little bits and pieces of what they were going to film, they decided to scratch whatever they had and then make a full movie. We, of course, have all seen Advent Children, I'm sure. But as you know, the Advent Children Complete came out later when they decided to release the movie onto Blu-ray instead of DVD. In 2006, that was announced via a trailer. And Nomura, the director of this piece, decided that the film that they made with Advent Children complete, with extra footage, he says about 30 minutes of extra footage.
Okay.
He wanted that to be the replacement.
Right. It's not just kind of a...
It's not an extended edition.
Yeah, it is the edition, according to Nomura, so...
Right. So a little bit of a counter history in there. So we're not sure if they were planning on a full movie first or if they were planning on a short film first.
Yeah, it's not very clear.
It's not very clear from whatever information we looked up beforehand. So, you know, the real history, I guess, may be found out in the end, but not in this episode.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, Caleb, what did you think of Advent Children and Advent Children Complete? I mean, what did you think of Advent Children, first of all? I mean, you have to kind of look back. We didn't watch Advent Children. We watched Advent Children Complete today.
Right.
What did you think of Advent Children?
Well, you know, I really liked it when I first watched it. And as I watched it more and more and played 7 more, it started to, I don't know, it kind of diminished itself in some ways. I mean, I felt like they changed the character Cloud a little far because, you know, in the beginning of 7, he's kind of a downer. He's, you know, he doesn't give a shit about anybody, really. It's just him getting by. And by the end of 7, he's kind of cured of that. And then we go into Advent Children, and he's back into the downer state, and he doesn't care about really anyone else. He doesn't think he needs help. It's just him. He's got to carry out all this stuff by himself.
Certainly Cloud was a downer later in the game, too.
Yeah,
I mean, after everybody kind of gets together in the middle of Final Fantasy VII, there's kind of a teamwork ethic, and Cloud seems less emotionally troubled.
Right.
Certainly after the death of Eris, the team is once again in a downer kind of mood.
Yeah,
and so I'd say that that's what the movie pulls from, but after Tifa goes into Cloud's subconscious, there's a change in Cloud.
Yeah.
After they, you know, fall into the live stream.
Right.
And that's, you know, wonderful sequence from Final Fantasy VII. You feel like the character of Cloud has changed after that moment, after he realizes who he is.
Yeah, he definitely shows a change.
And so after they all kill Sephiroth, somehow he regresses back into his... I'm gonna say this a few times in this review, his emo-y state.
Okay.
He just regresses into that, and there's no real explanation for that.
Yeah, there's not really. I mean, I'm sure the loss of Aerith obviously was rough on him, but I think the ending scene in Final Fantasy VII shows him getting past that, where he reaches up and he sees Aerith reaching for him, but then she dissolves and Tifa's there, because Tifa's real, Tifa's alive, Tifa's the one that's been there the whole time. He's with Tifa.
Yeah, and then suddenly Eris was in the live stream the whole time.
Right, but then they go back into an Advent Children. They go back to him obsessing over Aerith, who is dead.
Obsessing over his guilt about letting Eris die.
True,
because he was, you know, under control.
Yeah,
of someone else.
He was, and Aerith was totally Zack's. I mean, they did share a thing, but Zack and her really shared a thing. So. I thought that was kind of weird that they...
I don't understand that, certainly. Another thing I don't understand about... This is not going to be a movie bash review. I want to see that in the first part. It sounds like it right now, but there's some good parts about the movie.
Yeah, we'll talk about it all.
Another thing that confuses me about the film, especially that of Cloud... Cloud seems like to be the thing that makes the movie not quite fit with Final Fantasy VII, his character. Maybe it's our projection of Cloud as a player, because Cloud actually doesn't have that many lines of dialogue in Final Fantasy VII. Right. So maybe it's our projection of that character, and then we see him, you know, dramatized, that, you know, makes us confused as to why he's acting the way he is. But one thing I didn't understand was, why was he wandering around, and why does anybody never get a hold of him? Does he have a purpose in his wanderings? At the beginning of Advent Children? You know what I'm talking about.
Where he's just kind of hanging, yeah. Well, he is trying to find solutions to... He's trying to find solutions to the stigma. I mean, they are
Is that
infected.
what he's looking for?
I think so.
At the beginning of the film?
Yeah, he has the stigma the whole time.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're right.
But he's not really getting anywhere with it. So, I don't know. It did seem kind of weird.
He never answers his phone. He's always gone. And he just seems to be in the right place in the right time sometimes.
Yeah. It seemed very distant, which by the end of 7, I mean, especially with Tifa, they're not very distant at all, you know? They're together, you know? So that was a little odd. But I didn't have too many issues with that part. I just thought the beginning was kind of weird. It didn't really serve much of a purpose, necessarily, with his wanderings, because nothing came of it.
Another person I'm wondering why they're wandering around is Barrett.
Yeah, he was not there for a while.
Why the hell is Barrett gone that whole time? There's no explanation as to what Barrett is doing and why he's leaving Marlene, the child that he looks after. He's basically her father. Is her father, let's say that. Why is he just leaving her child with his child with Tifa and then just going off? He's always gone.
I don't know. I mean,
it made sense why he was gone in Final Fantasy VII, but why is he gone in Final Fantasy Advent Children? Why does he just show up when Bahamut shows up?
Well, it's a good thing he did, I guess. But yeah, it is kind of odd there, too.
What is he doing?
Same with the rest of the characters. I mean, no one's really around.
They can't just all look after the bar and make it something good?
No, they have other lives,
Tifa?
I guess, except for Barrett. Barrett lives around there, so I don't understand that one. I don't know, man. He's kind of a terrible father to Marlene, so maybe that's just how he always was. And
the only good parent, it seems, is Tifa, but they are being raised in a bar.
That's true. That we have to bring that up. So the bartender would happen to be the best parent if they're going on, bar standards.
All these adopted kids.
Right, yeah, that is kind of odd. I mean, I like the side characters. I wish I would have seen more of them. I had the same problem with some of the spin-off games, like Dirge of Cerberus. Obviously, it's Vincent as the main character, and he's a side character in 7, but I felt like they could have done a lot more with the other side characters.
Well, this movie is 2 hours long, and it fills it for the most part.
Yeah, I didn't feel like it was slow at all, necessarily. I really liked some of those other dudes.
I felt differently. I felt like it was slow, but that's because I've probably seen Advent Children 1,000,000 times.
I've probably seen it like 10 times, maybe.
Okay. So, my opinion of Advent Children before, I slowly got tired of it. I used to watch it quite a bit because I didn't have access to Final Fantasy VII back then. That was like 2006 or something like that.
Okay.
Maybe a little before then. And so I would just watch Advent Children, which is why I knew Eris was dead, which was unfortunate for me when playing the game when I finally got it. Mm-hmm. The fight scenes are awesome. I remember that, but I also remember being just horribly confused by what was going on.
Oh yeah,
in the world. Like what was the stigma, and what was Genova? All those kind of questions. And though they were somewhat answered in Final Fantasy VII, like the geostigma stuff wasn't. The only thing that I can really think of that Advent Children the complete version of Advent Children has helped the original Advent Children with was explaining a few things along its way.
Okay. So it tried to set itself up as a film that you could watch without playing the game a little better.
Yeah, maybe it did.
As opposed to the standard Advent Children, where if you didn't play the game, you really aren't going to know that much about what's happening.
Right. I think a Final Fantasy movie that does that better, though, is Spirits Within.
Yeah.
You don't need to have to play the games in order to watch that movie. I mean, Roger Ebert gave it 4-star review.
It's true. I'm pretty sure Roger Ebert never played Final Fantasy.
No, pretty sure he didn't. Yeah. He was the famous critic who said that video games weren't art.
Oh, that's harsh.
Yeah, and then he later redacted that statement, but I don't think he could ever recover from that. Of course, he's dead now, unfortunately. I liked him.
He was pretty good.
So let's start out. I got a random list of notes that I made here. My first note was that there are, instead of 2 beginnings, 2 prologues in the movie before Cloud actually shows up, which is the start of the movie. That's when the title screen finally comes into play, is when
Correct.
Cloud is on the motorcycle and he answers the phone call. instead of just 2 scenes before that, the helicopter scene going down, which is now extended, and Marlene's explanation of Final Fantasy VII, which in the original and in this one, completely unnecessary.
Right, it doesn't really provide much of a premise, even if you do not
why
know
would you
what's
play?
going on.
Why would you watch a movie with the title Final Fantasy VII Advent Children with no knowledge of Final Fantasy whatsoever? Because, I mean, if you looked at a movie, like if I were to just pick up a movie and it said, like, blah, blah, blah 3, why would I watch the 3rd movie of something that I don't even know?
I don't know, man. I don't
So
know.
the idea of doing that entire prologue thing is distracting and stupid. I really hate that opening narration scene. But here's the problem with Advent Children complete, at least I think it's a problem. Added 2 more beginnings. So instead of 2, there's 4. Doubled the length of the beginning of the film before the action even starts. Correct? So we have the scene with Kadaj and President Shinra. It's just a random scene that really has no significance to the rest of the film. And then also, I know there's another one. Hold on. What was the other scene? Do you remember?
I'm not sure.
There was another scene. Oh, it was Denzel.
Oh,
the
yeah, they
beginning of the
added,
film.
yeah.
Also totally unnecessary. Because we get to hear even more about Denzel later on in the film. Because it just keeps getting further explained and further explained. Maybe too much explaining in Advent Children. One thing... It was Denzel and the other girl and then the guy with geostigma. And you actually see what geostigma does.
Yeah, where
It,
the
like,
guy,
rots them.
Yeah, where the guy, like, dies.
Right. And that scene, although useful, I didn't think it needed to be a prologue scene. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I felt like we needed to get into this movie. I mean, what did you think of those 4 beginning sequences?
I did think it was a little extended. I mean, I feel like they probably could have just kept with the original 2 that they had. Although the Marlene narrating the events of 7, I do agree, isn't really necessary. But it does kind of give a little bit of background in case you haven't played through 7.
Or maybe if you haven't played through it in a while. I mean, I thought about that, but at the same time, the movie should be able to do that within, dialogue and other things.
Yeah. Yeah, so I kind of share your same opinion. And it is kind of weird when it takes like 10, 15 minutes to get to the this is where the movie starts screen, essentially. And that is kind of odd. And that is where it began. I mean, we could have hacked out the scene with Kadaj and Rufus and would have
Easily,
been
and that's
fine.
where it opens in this version.
Yeah, and that would have been fine with
Before
that,
it
but-
opened with the helicopter scene when they go
Right.
down.
And I enjoy that one. That one's
And in
fine.
this version, it's extra long, the helicopter scene.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of extra dialogue, and I don't know. I don't think that was necessary at all. I actually prefer the original version right there.
Yeah.
It gets to the point. It doesn't get to the point that quickly in the original version either, but it gets to the point
True.
more quick than in this version. Another thing I wrote down is that the footage, I saw some opinions online about how Advent Children, it looks so good. Why does Pixar spend $200 million on WALL-E when they spend, I think less than... How much was the budget for this movie? It was like less than $30 million.
Yeah,
on
it
this
was
movie.
not very much compared.
For Advent Children, and how come, it costs so much for those movies when Advent Children looks so good? I gotta tell you, we were watching the Blu-ray version of this film, and you could tell what scenes were new just by the quality of the image.
Yeah.
The image quality of the old footage looks like in-game graphics, just really good in-game graphics. Like, in-game graphics that you wouldn't be able to play on one of our systems now. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it looks... you can tell what's new.
Yeah. You can, and there are little, little pixels that you can see in the hair.
It's like a shimmer. Kinda.
Right, like a shimmery kind of image. It just didn't render quite in the detail that, let's say, even 1997's Toy Story did.
Right.
The detail is much higher. The render is much. There's a lot more quality in that render, and also in some of the scenes where there's busy landscapes, like a deserty rock kind of scenes, and then a lot of like trees. Not the Forgotten Forest, but the like green trees that Cloud drives through near the beginning of the film. They showed some flaws too, in the lighting or something. It just didn't look. It didn't look right. It looked like a really, really high quality game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it did. Some of it didn't really fit the rest of it because some of it looks really, really good.
The newer footage looks even better.
And I actually kind of prefer the style of this one over Spirits Within. I don't think it necessarily looks better, but
and we're going to talk about the contrast right now. The Spirits Within. The reason I say that is because I've seen a lot of contrast between Spirits Within and Advent Children. Which movie looks better? I mean, they cost $180 million to make Spirits Within. Why does Advent Children look better? And I gotta say, the design may be more to your taste, but for a movie that came out 5 years earlier, even then, Spirits Within looks better. It has less problems in the animation or the render. I'm unfortunately not really well versed in this subject, but I can see it.
Right.
There are image problems, especially in the old footage of Advent Children. It doesn't quite get transferred well on the Blu-ray.
Right, and I mean the style obviously is different, and with Advent Children they weren't going for quite the super CG realism of Spirits
They were
Within.
going for something that was more anime style.
Right, they were. I mean, it is Nomura. It is his style.
Right.
But at the same time, I do agree. Some of the backgrounds and stuff, it just felt out of place. It just didn't look right to me. And not bad by any means, but
not Hollywood quality.
No, and
Spirits Within was Hollywood quality.
Right, and I have seen people comment about that as well, saying that this looks way better than Spirits Within, and I
think they just like the art style more.
They probably like the art style and the fact that it's more Final Fantasy.
I don't think it's physically any more detailed.
No,
than
I would
the
say
other
it
one.
isn't. No.
Maybe the animation was a little bit better, like the movement of the characters, but I didn't really pay that much attention to it in this, unfortunately. Some things I put here, new edits and scenes that we already know kind of throw off the pace. I mean, what did you think when a scene that you already kind of knew well, and then there was like an added line or just some little second of information, did that help the movie? Or I personally felt that it hurt the movie's pace, but what did you think?
I thought the pace was still fine. I'm not as well versed in film as you are, per se, but there wasn't really a moment, except for in the very beginning, where it was, this 7,000 intros to the film, where I felt like it was really unnecessary. So I didn't feel like that detracted much from it at all.
Okay. Well, I just feel like, cut the fat.
Yeah.
Or don't add the fat, which is what they did.
Yeah.
It's not like they had a big script and then they funneled it down and then they added these scenes later, or like just for the release. They added this shit in and like redid edits and made them slower. Frankly,
they could have been original lines that they cut to make it a shorter theatrical or a shorter release for the original DVD. Who knows?
There was like one line where Azu insults Reno. Not Reno, the other one.
Rude?
No, Reno. There are words. I'm having trouble. He insults Reno in the original one, and in this one he kind of explains something, and then Reno's facial expression totally means a different thing. Like, they changed the line up.
Yeah, they did.
And that really ticked me off right there.
Yeah,
I was like, why did they keep the animation this way?
I don't remember what it was originally, but it didn't feel as weird as it did this time. Like, this time Reno's reaction made no sense to what he said. Like, it wasn't really anything that he said, and then Reno's just like, oh, what? I'm like, what is this? It just felt it did feel strange.
Out of place.
Yeah,
really rushed right there.
Yeah,
it didn't really go that well. So in the first scene, Azu shoots Cloud in the face, and his safety goggles fly off. What'd you think about the gun physics in this movie?
Well, maybe it's really low caliber. I don't know.
Like BB guns or something?
Yeah.
Just something somewhere in between BB gun and 22.
Yes. Closer to BB gun. But, I mean, if they kill him, they're not going to get the info. They're not going to know where Mother is.
So
not
he just
that
shot
he
him in the
knows.
glasses and somehow...
Yeah,
Cloud
I
is
guess.
okay.
I mean, it's high quality.
Of course, Cloud gets shot through the chest at the very end of the movie, and it's fine.
Near the very end, he gets really screwed over.
He only gets shot once, but he gets shot in the face at the beginning of the film, and we're just supposed to be like, oh.
Well, yeah, I guess.
Cuts his eyebrow just a little bit, just because the glass from the glasses got his eyebrow.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I'm not sure if it was like a straight-on shot or... I think it was, though.
Yeah, it was...
Yeah, he was he was flying up next to him and just...
He flipped his motorcycle over him, shot him in the face, and apparently he bounced off. Cloud is very hard-headed.
Yes.
As we all know.
It's true. Maybe he's Wolverine.
Something that really bugged you was Rufus Shinra, of course. Would you like to explain that?
Yeah. In 7, Rufus dies. Okay, it's not a translation issue like it is with Sang of the Turks. He's dead. All right, and even if let's say on a stretch he survived that ridiculous blast that just obliterated the entire floor and most of the building, do you really think that his second in command would have let him live if they had found his wasted body still barely alive when he could then control the company? I don't think so.
No.
These guys are not good people. Rufus less evil than his dad in a somewhat of a way. They're both really ignorant to what they're doing, but I just don't see them letting him live. Scarlet is fucking evil, right? She is just hardcore messed up. So I don't think she would have let him live if they would have found the remnants, the husk of their creator, their boss. And he just shows up in the very beginning of this. I'm like, what the hell? He's in a wheelchair? Bull.
His explanation is, the only line that I remember his explanation being was, I managed to get out. That was it.
Yeah.
I managed to get out. Really? How?
Yeah, I saw that scene.
We all saw the explosion. But he's okay,
I don't know.
Apparently.
That's always
He's
bothered
being
me.
pushed in a wheelchair and can stand.
Yeah, we later find out he doesn't even need the wheelchair.
And then he's sitting in the wheelchair like a scene after he stands up.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Well, he only stood up when Kadaj was there. Maybe he wants this ruse so he doesn't have to walk. I think it's genius. Caleb would think it's genius, too.
Yeah. Caleb, who decided he was too tired to be part of this review.
Yeah, we tried, man. We tried to get him in.
All right. So, something I put that really made me laugh on this Advent Children complete version. It's not in the original film. There's a scene where Denzel is remembering his past, running around in the ruins, and he finds a picture of his parents, and then Cloud finds him after he breaks down. But that scene, 5 minutes of Denzel's grunting, I would say. Do you remember this?
Yeah, I do. It was
okay.
It was excessive with the grunt.
Have you seen Spirits Within? Or not Spirits Within, but Spirited Away?
I haven't.
Okay, there's this character called No Face, and every time he tries to give gold to people, or he taunts them with gold anyway, and every time he does it, he just makes this kind of sound. That sound is what Denzel was doing when he was walking around in the ruins.
That's true.
And it's something that these animated films from Japan often have, even though we were listening to the English voice track. But I've heard it a lot in these Japanese animated movies. A lot of grunts and a lot of little pieces of air coming out of out of someone's mouth with just a little sound with it.
Yeah.
And Cloud does it too, quite a bit in this film.
Cloud does, yeah.
So whatever is something...
Of course, Cloud's fighting, so I can
Cloud
understand
is fighting, and then he's like, oh, I gotta recover for like 1 second. And he goes...
Yeah, there is a lot of grunting. Although I've never fought like that, so I'm not 100% sure. But I know Denzel, he was just walking around and stuff. I just think it'd be weird to be like, we need your child to grunt into this microphone for the next 20 minutes. Like, that would be just odd. I don't know.
That's what this half the dialogue of the film is, a grunt.
Yeah,
Of some
there's
kind,
a lot
or
of
some
grunting.
kind of moan. Exhale. It was really annoying.
Yeah, that gets on my nerves with some of these, too.
I did think that the movie had a little too much leather. Don't you?
Yeah,
Or are
pretty
you
much.
cool with the leather?
Well, Tifa's leather's fine. Well, hers actually makes sense, too. I mean, it's not like super skin tight like with Kadaj and his cronies. It's a leather vest for, slight armor.
I like how the Folly guy had to make a bunch of leather sounds throughout this whole movie. Just like people walking around. There's always leather sounds going on in this movie.
Yeah.
Especially that close up of Kadaj going to President Shinra, and he's going to show him that he's Sephiroth or whatever.
Yeah.
And there's like the camera pans up into his like leather like torso. Mm-hmm. It's really homoerotic, and and a little S&M with the with all the leather.
Yeah.
That part kind of makes me uncomfortable. I'll be honest.
I never felt uncomfortable. I just felt like it was odd. And yeah, there was a part where it looked like one of them was walking all chafed because he had been in this leather
Oh yeah,
for like...
the not Azu, but the other one. Do you remember his name?
I forget the names.
The third remnant that's in this film. It's not Azu, it's not Kadaj. The guy who fights Tifa in the church.
The simple dude.
When he walks into the church, he looks like he's been wearing leather. Certainly. But
Yeah. He's walking all stiff and like strange looking. He's just like,
his
"Ooh,
legs are really wide out.
I need the powder."
And then he's like, "Wanna play?" To the little girl, which was weird.
Yeah, that was odd.
I did want to say something about that scene. That scene was pretty sweet, I felt. The scene where Tifa and the Remnant fight.
Yeah, that was a really good one.
I felt like that fight scene is not only awesome, the music was like a sweet contrast to what we were seeing on screen. And then like things like him grabbing Tifa by the foot and then like whipping her around through the church like pews and just like bashing everywhere, and then Tifa of course hitting the wall and then like coming back at him.
Yeah.
And all the flips and stuff. It was cool. I like kung fu movies, and although this is a CG kung fu movie, so it's certainly less impressive, still liked it quite a bit. That fight scene was awesome.
Yeah, that was a really good one.
It's probably the fight scene I think the most that stands out to me. I mean, Nomura did make this movie for fight scenes, and that's probably my favorite one.
Yeah, I really like that one too.
Yeah.
I love Tifa's character, so.
There was a line, "Weren't there some kids living with you?" Let's make that pause even longer. From Reno, right? No, from Rude.
Rude, yeah.
Rude. Weren't there some kids living with you?
Yeah. I don't know, man. It's just some awkward translation stuff.
That's true. They have to sync the lips.
But I feel
when they
like
do the English voice track.
I feel like they should have some way to lessen the obviousness.
Like, weren't there some kids living with you?
Yeah.
Maybe a big long How about the materia? What did you think of the materia used in this film?
Well, I thought it was really weird how they absorbed the materia into their flesh. I mean, that's never really implied in 7, although Tifa would have to do something similar to that because she's usually fighting with gloves, and there are materia slots for the gloves, and I do not see a place for the materia in the gloves. So sure, maybe they can absorb it. But we will nitpick the not red summon materia for the Bahamut summon. Wasn't it like yellow?
It was blue.
Was it blue?
Yeah.
It was a command materia?
He commanded Bahamut.
Well,
Kadash.
fine.
No, it's not fine.
supposed to be
I agree
red.
with you. It is a summon.
And that's a weird thing for them to miss too. Like I was like, what?
Plus, that summon animation was way too long.
Yeah, yeah. For 7, it was like a 10 summon where you just control it until it dies, so you just lay waste to all the weak stuff around you. I enjoyed the summon though. I thought Bahamut looked really cool.
Yeah, I did too. Our mutual friend and third host of the show,
Yes.
Caleb, really did not like the design of it.
Yeah, I felt like it looked too much like it was from Final Fantasy X, which, it did look similar to 10's Bahamut, but it is a different Bahamut from the ones in 7, so...
Right.
And also, you gotta remember, 7, they could only do so much with the graphics. I mean, perhaps they intended it to be more detailed than it was. They just couldn't. I mean,
I doubt that's the reason. I bet they just drew a new Bahamut for it.
they probably did.
But
And the style was...
I don't mind his design, certainly. I
No,
thought it was
it's-
kind of cool.
It's weird how his face is always so tiny, though, like, compared to the rest of his body, but that's just how it is.
When your bad guys are always on the verge of tears, how do you feel that the threat is? Well, like, how big is the threat? Can the threat really be from the bad guys?
Well, it doesn't seem to be that great, but then they end up kicking everyone's ass, so it's clearly better than...
Don't cry, Azu.
Yeah, there was a...
We'll find Mother here.
And you brought up a good point while we were watching it. Is it Azu? Is he the other long-haired dude?
Yeah, he's the other long-haired.
He's kind of a better bad guy than
He's more interesting.
the main bad guy, and that's very odd to me. because-
Kadash can and will suck a dick.
Yeah, he's really weird, and he doesn't seem to be that threatening. I mean, he's a very good fighter, obviously.
Yeah, from
And-
what we've seen of him in the film, yes.
Yeah, so I mean,
Even though the other guys, I think, do even more fighting.
they do. Yeah, he just waits and fights Cloud, essentially.
Yeah, so why wasn't Azu the main bad guy?
I don't know.
He'd be more interesting. I didn't like how they were always crying. It really bugged me.
Yeah, it
just
seemed
like-
weird.
I know that our main hero is always crying also. But I feel like, I don't know, a stronger bad guy that you wouldn't mock.
Yeah, well, they are
Don't
supposed
cry,
to.
Azu.
They're supposed to represent 3 different parts of Sephiroth. It's their purpose. They're supposed to represent like different parts of Sephiroth's personality. So as combined, they would be Sephiroth.
Is that
but
how it's supposed to be?
Yeah.
I never looked at it that way.
that's what they intended when they went
Okay.
into it. I don't know if it was necessarily portrayed well, but I don't know.
A little note I made here, but this is kind of all of Final Fantasy VII. Vincent's shoes. So stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they are kind of armor in a way, I guess.
Armor, you're gonna fucking trip.
Yeah, that's
all the
true.
time. That's gonna harm you
He
more
can
than
fly.
anything.
He doesn't need to walk.
You can just get a steel-toed boot.
He can turn into a wisp, a red
He
wisp.
could, apparently. I didn't know he could do that.
He can fly.
Does he do it in Dirge? Like the flying wisp of
I
cape?
don't remember that. I remember him flying a lot and jumping off of large buildings, but I don't remember the sweet cape wisp.
Something about the cape. If you open your cape, apparently that is the international symbol in Final Fantasy VII that you don't have a phone.
Yeah, he's like, you don't have a phone? Then he whips open his cape, and then that's the end of it. I was like, what? I guess they all have a phone holster or something.
Where?
I don't know. And why
in the
would you?
cape area?
Who the hell would assume Vincent would have a phone? Why would he give a shit about a cell phone?
Because everybody has a phone in the movie.
Yeah, but he's like the anti-everybody, dude. He's like, I don't give a shit about your phone.
I think that's what we were supposed to think after he told her that he didn't have a phone, but just him only whipping out his cape and then her going, "Oh, you don't have a phone?" Like, what if he was whipping out his cape to get his phone in like his back pocket? Or something?
Yeah. He's got like one of those 1993 cell phones, a big ass one with a really long antenna.
Sure.
Dude, I've been asleep for a while. This shit might be old, but it is still working.
Of course, our favorite line, dilly dally, shilly shally.
Yeah. I don't know, dude. That's always... I've talked about these things before, and I don't like to bag on the series because I do love the series. I mean, obviously we're doing this. We've been doing this for like 6 months now. I love Final Fantasy. But there are parts in Final Fantasy that a normal friend of mine that does not play Final Fantasy, which there aren't many,
would unfriend you.
I don't know if they would unfriend me, but if they walked in during one of these parts, I would feel uncomfortable. For me, for them, for Japan as a whole, because of this one scene, and this is one of them.
Or the English voice actors, maybe? Or
The
English writer?
I feel bad for that. I think it'd be weird to be the voice actor. Like, what, you want me to say what? Like some of the lines.
Dilly-dally what?
What the hell is this shit? I am an actor. I will not stand for this. That line is really weird to me, and I guess it's...
Dilly-dally shilly-shally. What? Dilly-dally shilly-shally.
No, I heard you. I just don't understand. I guess it means like...
I think she wants you to move on, man, is the line after that.
Yeah, it's like, Reno...
Reno, why the fuck are you in my room?
Yeah,
because
why are you...
the camera pans over, and it's like... Like,
yeah.
It should be like some scary string noises.
Well, then you talk to her. I'm not dealing with this shilly-shally shit.
What is shilly-shally?
I don't know. That was always weird to me, though. It's like one of those lines.
Is this a saying that, like, no one knows around here, or is it...
I don't know.
They just pulled it out of their ass for the English translation.
I
I wonder what the equivalent is. There must be some kind of a, like, equivalent meaning, like...
Well, I'm sure that it could be a Japanese...
You're wasting your time, onomatopoeia kind of a thing.
Yeah, perhaps there is in the Japanese version. I mean, maybe it's a saying that they have.
I feel like they could have found an English saying. Don't know what that is off the top of my head, admittedly, but I feel like they could have found something better.
Probably.
Than dilly-dally, shilly-shally.
Definitely something a little less cryptic. Because I don't know what that is.
I was a little confused at the scene where, like, the three remnants were in the monument in the middle of the city, and they were going to pull it down because they thought, Shinra had, kept Genova in there.
Yeah, these guys are idiots, man. They're like, is she here? What about here? We're not going to tell you even if she was.
There was that scene, and they had all the children chained up, I assume, to help with the pulling down of the monument. Not sure why the children are all in a circle. Do you know why?
I don't know. I mean, if you think about it, if they all pull, the monument's not going to go anywhere.
Right, because they're all surrounding it.
Maybe they want to just destroy the monument.
Or, kill the children with the monument falling on them.
Perhaps. Or kill them by breaking them from trying to pull down this monument.
Anyway, just three dudes clad in leather, gay as fuck. And they were like, everybody, there's a giant crowd around them, and they were like, give us back our children.
Yeah.
Why didn't they just... You said it before.
Why don't they just rush them? I mean... For one, and then I think it was Caleb Craig, he brought up another point. They didn't give a shit about the children before this point. Like, most of these kids are the orphans, are the ones that are cast out from society. They're the slum kids.
Yeah, and they've been gone for a few days.
They have. They drove a long distance.
Voluntarily.
Yeah, and the parents didn't care. Maybe that's why they're so pissed, though. Maybe that's it. Maybe
where
not
are
all
kids?
of them...
And then they found them all in a circle around a monument with three dudes in leather.
Yeah, three really creepy dudes, and one, like, crying all the time, and seriously emotionally scarred from something. And yeah, I felt it was weird. But then...
Mother.
Perhaps they had just gotten there, so I can kind of look past that a little bit, but it still seemed weird. But then when they started getting pissed, the crowd, I mean, they summoned those things, those like shadow monster things, and they started destroying people. So
yeah, that would make sense to be like, okay, I'll back off.
Yeah. They just went all out, though.
I would hope that some parents wouldn't necessarily would go past that. I'd hope a little more heroic than just standing around letting three dudes in leather holding chains stop them.
Yeah. We can only hope.
Yeah, maybe is anyone in that crowd leveled up decently? I mean,
if you walk around enough, you'd have to be,
right,
or you're dead.
A couple things I put here about Tetsuya Nomura's directing style. I think he really loves the Matrix trilogy, especially Matrix Revolutions. I felt like a lot of that movie was in this movie.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just the CGI nature of the fight scenes or something, but I felt that way.
Felt a strong connection.
I felt the strong connection with the Matrix trilogy. I also felt like there was that part of the movie, and then another part of the movie was that it was directed like a music video. A lot of random Dutch shots, really quick cuts. I mean, except for the shit that they added that they decided to slow down the movie with. A lot of disorienting kind of stuff. It's hard to follow some of these fight scenes and some of these chase sequences. As an audience member who's trying to figure out what's going on, the director's trying to show you something, but that thing that he's trying to show you, it just doesn't quite show you what it needs to sometimes in this film. And maybe the cuts are too quick, or maybe they were trying to, maybe they were trying to just get you really invested into the action by making it go really quickly so that you're paying attention. I don't think it necessarily worked, at least in my viewing experience. I just felt Tetsuya Nomura's directing was really disorienting. I didn't see that kind of stuff with Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Kingdom Hearts is kind of different, though. I mean, this is supposed to be...
I didn't see it with Final Fantasy VII's cutscenes either.
No,
Very
we
clear,
didn't.
simple.
But it wasn't directed by...
No, it wasn't.
It was directed by Yoshinori Kitase.
That's true.
Perhaps if this would have been directed by Yoshinori Kitase, it would be more fluid.
More movie-like.
More movie-like, yeah.
Less music video-like.
Yeah, and I mean, all at the same time.
Or maybe the Gooch.
The Gooch, yes. That is our awesome nickname for Sakaguchi. The Gooch would have done an excellent job, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But he was already
It would have had less fight scenes.
Probably.
I was looking in one forum for like comparisons between the two because I wanted to see what people were saying before we started this, and one of them said it was a forum asking which movie was better they thought, and then they were like, Advent Children has more fight scenes. Like that was the only answer that they put, and I was like, really? That's the thing that makes you like that movie more than Spirits Within?
Yeah, that's kind of silly. I mean, it's from a fan's perspective, I can see enjoying the fight scenes, and I enjoyed the fight scenes. I enjoyed the action sequences. I even enjoyed the callbacks to the series. The one thing that really bugged me was Red 13's voice. It's really weird. Like I never once thought that when
that was the one voice that bugged you.
Well, Kate Sith, you can't understand the damn thing he's saying. As you mentioned when we were watching, I was like, what is he even getting at?
Scottish accent?
Yeah, it's supposed to be really thick Scottish accent, like
but
harsh.
Is it made from a Scottish voice actor?
I don't know. I'm not even 100% sure.
I don't know.
It's easier to understand him.
Nothing.
It's easier to understand him in Dirge of Cerberus. That I know. I can understand what he's saying. Although I think there were subtitles also.
I feel like Train Spotting was easier to understand.
Yeah, that was definitely Scottish. So, yeah, that voice actor, I guess, was weird too. But I mean, Barrett was pretty well done. He's, this.
It sounds like what Barrett would sound like, except a little less Mr. T. I felt like he mellowed him out.
Yeah, I love Barrett's character. I mean, sure, he's super irresponsible, and he's kind of dumb in some parts of 7, where he just, like, won't tell him that it wasn't him that gunned everyone down, and you're just, like, following this blood trail. But I really like his character, but he is Mr. T, essentially. He is...
Why didn't they just get Mr. T to do the voice?
Oh, my God, that would have been amazing.
Not that the voice actor who did it was bad, but...
No, but it would have been...
perfect.
It would have been amazing.
It's not like Mr. T's doing much.
Right. But I mean, Sid's voice was perfect, I felt.
I felt like they should have gotten the dude who did Full Metal Jacket. Like the sergeant or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
That
Gunny.
guy. What's his name?
I think his name's like Gunny, or his
Gunny?
nickname or something like that.
That should have been Sid. They were going for something like that, once again, with Sid.
That would have been awesome.
I felt a hint of an Australian accent, but maybe I'm just making that up.
Maybe.
Along with that Gunny voice. But I felt like pure Gunny would have been awesome.
Yeah, that would have been amazing.
So on Marlene's impression of Barrett in the Advent Children Complete Edition, what was it she said?
If you can't take care of your family... Oh, no, how can you take care of your family if you can't take care of yourself? That's what she said. That was awesome. All right, I laughed pretty hard at that.
We were talking in the middle of the movie, which is something you shouldn't do, but we've all seen Advent Children a million times. Well, at least I have. Apparently only 10 times from you.
Yeah.
Yeah. We all stopped while we heard it.
Yeah, it was very unexpected.
How can you take care of your family if you can't take care of yourself? As my dad always said.
Yeah. My father.
Yeah, just change of the accent automatically.
Yeah, it was pretty sweet.
Oh, man. So, ain't no getting off of this train.
Yeah.
So, obviously, when Cloud said it, he also did a Barrett impression.
Probably.
In Final Fantasy VII.
And that's probably why the people that
I
weren't...
would like to see more Final Fantasy characters do Barrett impersonations.
Yeah.
I think that would be great.
Yeah. Except for maybe Kate Sitz.
It'd be a little bit like Tropic Thunder, but, you know.
Yeah.
As long as they don't go into blackface, they're fine.
Yeah.
Right? I think. I don't know, I'm white. Where is the Moogle robot on Kate Sith?
I don't know. He got rid of its uselessness and decided that writing Red 13 was better, which it is. So I'm fine.
I guess Tifa would know more about writing Red 13. Or was it Eris?
Eris.
It was Eris? Okay. It's been a long time since we read that Super Sexy.
Oh, that writing.
Ah, yeah.
It was Tifa.
It was Tifa.
Yeah, Tifa and Yuffie were the ones in the room at the time.
That is horrible.
Yes. Yes, it is.
I thought the throwing Cloud at Bahamut scene was incredibly stupid.
Yeah, I've always felt that way. That's another one that I'm just like, man.
Fly. Never give up! Like, who would just like, oh, I gotta toss this dude. Okay, this is what I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
No giving up! Or whatever she says, you know? It's just like...
There you go.
So dumb. Fly.
Yeah. I felt like that could have been annexed, and they could have just had him run up the rubble and jump at him. That would have been sweet.
Right. Exactly.
None of it made any sense, but...
It was the teamwork aspect. They were bringing the team together.
Yeah, and I can appreciate what they tried to do, but...
Just didn't work.
No.
My last note was, I thought the other Turks were dead. The ones that showed up near the end of the film in Advent Children Complete, not in regular Advent Children.
Right. They never actually said they were dead.
No, but here's movie language to you.
Sang is well known for being dead, but not really dead.
Yes. Here's movie language for you. The helicopter goes into the mist. There are shots fired and people going like they've been shot. In a scene later, the bad guy who was down there doing damage to those folks throws their ID cards, splattered with blood, onto Rufus's lap. What the fuck?
Now that implies death, but...
That does imply death.
Kadaj.
Would they just leave them and just, like, assumed they were dead?
Well, they didn't really have much of a choice. They got their asses kicked. They had to leave. And it could be used... he could have been using their deaths, quote-unquote, as leverage... Possibly to show him that, look,
Possibly,
you can't win. We just
go?
killed Sang, the main fucking Turk.
When did you let him go?
I don't know.
Doesn't make sense. Why'd they add it? I was okay with them just being dead in the regular Advent Children.
Yeah, I don't want Sang to be dead, though.
No?
No, he's hardcore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're all about that hardcore.
Yeah.
All right, so before we get to our final verdict on the movie... I did ask for some opinions on our for some opinions on our forum. Only 2 people responded though, so I'm disappointed in the rest of the forum members. But I asked, what they liked about the movie, and Mecha Messiah first says there were only 3 things good about this movie: Rachel Lee Cook, which I believe was one of the voice actresses.
Yeah.
I think she was Tifa.
Tifa's voice was very well done.
That's true. Yeah, she matched the character perfectly. If it's some other voice actress, I'm sorry. And then you want to read Shinru's comment?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's drag it over.
Let me increase the size.
All right. So Shinru says only good things was seeing Cloud and Tifa and Sephiroth in HD CGI and the movie's fight scenes. The Advent Children complete version has a longer, cooler, and violent fight between Cloud and Sephiroth with blood, unlike the normal version, which is very true. The fight is cool, and it is preferred by me. The music in the movie is nice. He said that's it for the good stuff. He loves FF7, but he feels like all the spin-off games and movies aren't canon. They retcon established FF7 scenes, Zack's death in Crisis Core and in Advent Children, and bring back characters that most assume to be dead. Sang and Scarlet are dead, and it was assumed that Rufus of Shinra, as well as Root and the other Turks, died in the tunnel in Midgar in FF7. Not true. Shouldn't be assumed, never assumed it, but that's okay. He says also Spirits Within is older, but actually looks better in terms of CGI compared to Advent Children. That is, I agree. Yes.
Yeah, we agree with that. Now, looks better, of course, is very subjective, but I think if you look in the shots when Tifa's hair is in a window, like being lit, you can see issues with the visuals, and they don't have those in Spirits Within.
No. And then he says, then you have the dumb stuff, like Red 13 accent, thank you. Cell phones galore, sure. Mother this, mother that, I want mother. They know Genova's name.
I know you do have mother there.
Stop with mother.
No need to shout.
Yeah, that was the dumbest conversation. Dilly-dally, shilly-shally. They made Cloud emo. He was not emo in FF7. This is Advent Children making him this way. Kinda disagree, but Advent Children did accentuate it greatly. He's more antisocial in 7. Looking up drinking games for the movie and take a shot every time Mother or Geostigma is said.
It says look up drinking games for the movie.
I would rather not because I value life.
No, we should do that. We should do that when we do the commentary.
Oh,
eventual
dude.
commentary for this
That's
movie.
going to be amazing. Okay. If you aren't Cloud, Tifa, or Sephiroth, enjoy your 10 seconds screen time because you barely see everyone more than that.
No, that's not true. Denzel has at least 35 minutes of that movie.
True, but Denzel's not a character of 7, so... FF7 will always be better than its spin-off movies or games, unless they make a direct FF7 2 with the same gameplay. Don't know how that would turn out. I don't want to know. Do I want more FF movies? Sure, even though they might be bad. I'm all for new FF stuff. And I am too.
I am too. I want Sakaguchi back. I want the Gooch back, dude.
Yeah.
I want the Gooch back in the directing scenes. This is Mecha Messiah again, responding to Shinru's comment.
Right.
He says, I disagree with the look of the CGI. Spirits Within was approaching Uncanny Valley before there was an Uncanny Valley. I really enjoy how Advent Children looked, I assume is what he's trying to say. I don't know what Uncanny Valley is. This must be, like... I'm not sure what that phrase is for.
I don't know. It's like fake, something along those lines.
Yeah, it's fake.
I'm not sure exactly what the reference is.
Maybe it's like the dead eyes or something, but yeah, I don't know that phrase. Otherwise, I agree on some parts. Red 13 was laughable. The excessive use of mother was also annoying.
Sounds wrong.
Mother.
You excessively used my mother.
Says, but I like the centralized story. I know we as fans want to see all our favorite characters, but let's be honest with ourselves. Other than Cloud and Tifa, and potentially Barrett, everyone else would have gone their separate ways, and therefore would have no need to be totally involved in Cloud and Tifa's life.
True.
Yeah. So that's what we have on the forum. Now, Caleb, what did you like about the film? We went through a lot of stuff that I just wrote down and found, kind of annoying or didn't understand. Let's talk about the good stuff.
Okay. Well, I like the animation. I mean, it might not look as quality as of CGI as the predecessor movie, but I do like the style of it.
Yeah.
And I'm not necessarily a big fan of the anime kind of feel to it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it works really well, and that's how the game looked. So that's how the movie should look. I really liked that. I really liked the scene in the Forgotten Forest?
Yeah, the Forgotten City.
Forgotten City. And the Forbidden Forest. Is that what it is? What is the forest?
It's the Forgotten City.
It's around the...
It's forgotten.
Oh, that's right, yeah, because you go through the forest. That looked really cool to me. I really liked that part of the movie every time I watch it.
Visually, yeah, it
looks awesome.
It's pretty stunning.
That scene is always really good to me.
The fight scene's pretty cool there.
The fight scene is good there, too.
Yeah.
And I liked the voice actors for the most part.
For the English tracks?
Yes, for the English
and
tracks.
the Japanese tracks.
Yeah, the Japanese ones, it's hard to really judge.
Yeah, but you can tell if it matches.
Right. Now, another thing that I do enjoy, I kind of like seeing all the weapons that Cloud was using. I mean, he was using ones that looked like they were from 7. At least from what I saw, some of them looked familiar. Mm-hmm. When he was pulling out like 7 and 8 different swords from his
he
G-bike.
puts down the Buster Sword at the beginning.
He does. Well, the Buster Sword has been chilling there for a while, apparently. It's rusty as hell. And it's kind of weird, the scene where Kadaj and his cronies drive up to it and they just like knock it out of the dirt and you're like, meh, and then they drive off. It's like, what are you, children?
Mother. I was looking for Mother there.
Not the sword.
They've all become Dave Mustaine.
Yeah, essentially. But and then
what
he goes.
Do you mean Mother isn't here?
Yeah, and then
Talk
he goes
to her every day.
Then he goes back and he sticks it back in the ground and then he leaves. It's like, no, this shit stays. I like the Turks. I really like Reno and Rude. I always have from the game.
I thought it was stupid before, but actually this time around I really enjoyed it. The conversation where they had the bombs and they were ready for the rest of Kadaj's gang.
Yeah.
And they were standing at the freeway off-ramp or whatever it was. And, yeah, the, where'd you get this kind of conversation that happened? It was like, Shinra's finest. Oh, so you made this. Like, I thought that little part, that was great.
Yeah.
Like, probably the best use of dialogue through the whole movie.
Yeah, that was really good.
Opinion. Besides Marlene's impression of Barrett, of course.
Yeah, that was probably the golden line in the whole thing. But, yeah, I enjoyed their interactions, and I think Rude's sweet,
He's a sweet guy.
He's like the civilized Barrett in a lot of ways. He's like the classy man. Yeah. And his sunglasses, I always thought that was kind of entertaining, where they break and he just like pulls another pair out of his shirt.
That was funny.
He's just got endless sunglasses. So I enjoyed that a lot. And
I did miss their music, though.
Yeah.
I wanted them to come out snapping.
Yeah. That was missed, I will admit. What else did I like?
Nothing?
No, there's plenty of stuff I liked, but I'm thinking of stuff I really liked. Really liked Vincent. I thought his voice actor was really good too, and his character, it was enjoyable, and he had a little more on-screen time.
You're just on a Vincent fanboy page, though, right?
Some of the others. Not really. I didn't even use him when I played the game.
Really?
I've never used Vincent.
Oh, I use him.
His godforsaken limit break on that Materia Keeper fight always makes me bench him. Because he's like, oh, let's hit him with this flame move and heal him for 700,000 life.
Don't use the limit break. Use him as spells for just that fight.
Or just don't use them.
Or that. You could do that, too.
Barrett
but his later limit breaks are awesome.
True, but so are Barrett's. Barrett's a sick man.
Nah.
Although, admittedly, I end up going Sid because of his triple growth weapon, but that's a different thing.
Of course.
Yes.
Some positive things I liked about the movie. I did like the design of the movie. I thought it was interesting. Although I might prefer the look of Spirits Within, but it's not something I don't really contrast those. Although we are contrasting them a lot in this review. There are totally different movies.
Yeah, they are.
I liked the fight scene in the church, as I said. I liked the music for the most part, except when the cell phone is floating down. For some odd reason, that music just doesn't fit right there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Do you feel the same way about that piece of music?
Yeah,
it just feels weird and out of place right there.
Yeah, it did. I don't think there really needed to be any music. for that part.
Probably not.
And, like, I can understand with the older games being music all the time because there is no dialogue and you have to have something. But I feel like maybe some of that stuck, and they felt like they had to have music the whole time. And the music, it just didn't feel natural for that part.
Yeah. One of the design things that I really enjoy, the motorcycles, actually, they're all really awesome. Cloud's motorcycle is one of the coolest things out of Final Fantasy, I believe, with all the sword like coming out and just how huge it is and just how awesome the motorcycle shit is in this movie. I just really love that stuff. And the chase sequences are fun to me. They're a little longer in the complete version, which was annoying because I know it. I know the movie, the original.
Yeah.
And so found that distracting, but if I'm just judging it by the original chase sequences are just sweet. Both the one at the beginning of the film, after the 4 prologues, and the one where Kadaj's gang are, of course, chasing after Cloud.
Yeah.
That part was really cool. I also enjoyed the Sephiroth fight scene, both the original fight scene and this newer one.
Yeah.
One of the best shots in the whole movie is when Cloud comes down on Kadaj and then it indents the big pipe that they're on, and then in that flash when Cloud hits him, he turns into Sephiroth. Mm-hmm. That transition is really cool.
Yeah,
it's just so sudden, and it's really interesting how they did that.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that scene as well, and I kind of preferred the complete one because of the added blood and the realism behind the violence that we're seeing. I always appreciate that in film. I feel like
there was a lot of extra blood in this one.
There was, yeah.
And then the stigma actually did something.
Yes.
Another thing, this is probably the only thing I like more about Complete than the original Advent Children, is that the stigma wasn't really defined in the original one, and they defined it in this one.
Yeah.
Even though the scene that they used to define it was in the wrong place, being one of the 4 prologues.
Right.
I felt like that was something that made the movie better.
Okay.
Or at least it explained it more.
Yeah.
The explaining was good too, because I had no idea what Sephiroth wanted to do with the geostigma.
Right, yeah, it wasn't really explained. It's obviously something
so
evil.
Advent Children Complete helped with that.
Okay. What about the continuation of the 7 story? Did you feel like they did a good job with that, or did you feel like it was unnecessary?
I don't like how it fits with 7. I don't like Cloud's emo-y nature, and we found out that there's a theme song made by My Chemical Romance. Of all the bands, I made a My Chemical Romance reference in the middle of the movie when we were watching it, and then we found that out during our research. There's a song co-written by by one of the members of My Chemical Romance for the Advent Children Complete edition of the film in Japan.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's a sign.
That's a sign of the game not fitting with the movie, or the movie not fitting with the game.
Right, and then of course what I mentioned before with Cloud letting go of Aerith, that's totally disbanded.
That was a while ago. Yeah.
Yeah, I felt like that was a really powerful scene that I never noticed before in 7.
I feel like that was 2 years of banging Tifa. He could have had if he wasn't, crying over Aerith all the time.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure Tifa would not find that attractive.
No. No, I don't think so.
You're not over her yet? We knew her for like a month.
Yeah, you've known me your whole life, essentially, so...
And it is Tifa who, if anything, much better looking than Aerith.
Yeah, I would say so.
So there's that going for her, too.
And she's more powerful. And sure, Aerith might be a good healer, but we've got Mega Elixirs out the ass with the W item glitch, so we really didn't need her.
Right.
Once you got the W item, at least.
Now, the W item glitch is, of course, important to how Cloud feels about the characters.
Well, about the character's usefulness, yes.
Of course. Because it's usefulness that really... Man, Tifa has just huge boobs.
Yeah, they're not nearly as big in the movie.
In the movie, they're less prominent. She's not a deformed animated character this time, though.
Yeah, that's true. She's not.
And they were they were going for something a little bit more tasteful, although I do remember one added scene in this complete edition that had a nice Tifa jiggle boob, side boob spot.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't even notice it.
I was looking.
Oh, that's
Little
okay.
CGI turning me on. Yeah.
And I was sitting right there, and I didn't even...
She's a good-looking girl.
Yeah, she is.
And Cloud should have gotten over the Eris by now, so get on that, Cloud.
Yeah. Disappointing me. I've always liked Tifa more.
Overall, I felt about the movie, it's just so lukewarm to me, especially the complete edition I thought was actually kind of bad.
Yeah.
The complete edition of the movie. The original movie I think is better, although the complete edition is worth watching and is probably a required viewing if you want to understand the original Advent Children.
Yeah.
So I'd be like, I'd watch this once and then go back to Advent Children, the regular one, if you want to do a rewatch. I just think, the faster pace...
it fits it better.
Yeah.
The faster paced narrative.
Yeah, because they're just cutting it up and adding scenes within that pace, and it doesn't make any sense. And then the edits that they made to the original film, they just made sections longer.
Yeah, just a little bit of added
and so
dialogue.
I'm
A lot
like-
of silence, too.
And so if you've watched the original, you're like, let's move on, please.
Yeah, because the part's not really that important. And like I said, a lot of it's dead air for some of it. I mean, they'll say something, and then that's the original line, and then a couple seconds later they'll say something else, and it doesn't really add anything to it, and it kind of makes it feel unnatural. Like it's not a conversation that two people would actually be having. It's something like, "Oh yeah, my line was this," and then they say it.
Just because they put it together the way they did.
Yeah, it wasn't very fluid.
Two of the scenes where this is most prominent to me, the changes. The scene in which Cloud meets Rufus Shinra for the first time, and Rude and Reno in the room, or at least one of them's locked outside. That scene, they added a lot of shit in. And then the scene where Kadaja's gang is fighting the Turks.
Yeah,
And their exchanges there, they added a lot of shit that didn't need to be there.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean...
I also felt like the Denzel stuff, like the background information for, 15 extra minutes on Denzel, completely unnecessary.
It didn't really add anything to
No, it didn't.
the story at all. I mean, I remembered Denzel from the original just fine.
Yeah.
And he's not that important.
He's not that important. He makes no changes to the overall story at all.
Yeah,
And so why are we spending 15 minutes on him?
he's just another kid that has the stigma, and they want to cure him. Maybe he's just giving a reality to the stigma children, I guess. That's his purpose. But they're all kids. I mean, we can all sympathize with kids being sick.
They could have given it to Marlene and had Barrett home. Or Barrett be even more of a douchebag and have him not be home with Marlene with the stigma.
Well, when Bahamut attacks, Barrett probably should not be home. Because my Barrett was like level 80, and he could do some serious damage.
He needed to get there.
He did, yeah. And Tifa was 99, so how the hell did she lose the fight to that dude in the church? I don't understand that. And she should
Maybe he was level 100.
Maybe
he did it.
Yeah.
He got there.
They added the third column for him. Maybe he was 999 even at that point. Who knows, though? But yeah, I think overall I do kind of like the original one more. And I'm glad I watched it, but...
You're glad you watched complete.
Yeah, I'm glad I watched complete.
Yeah.
But even then, the original one, it's not a great movie as far as movies are concerned.
It's not. It's really mediocre.
In a lot of ways, it is kind of fan service. I mean, and which is the part that I enjoy because I am a fan.
Appreciated.
I am a fan of it. I like the characters. I like the story, the predecessor story, mostly, and I enjoy seeing
But
them
you like
again.
revisiting the story.
Yeah, it's
only
enjoyable.
an hour and a half,
and
or 2 hours.
I like revisiting the areas more than anything. That's what I like about it, is seeing these towns that looked so old and aged the last time I played 7, seeing them revisited, rebuilt in CGI and
Midgard's case.
yeah, yeah, grown over. But that part I really liked. So if you're a really big fan of 7, you're definitely going to love this movie, and you've already seen it, I'm sure.
Or you're going to really hate it.
or you're going to really hate it. It depends.
I'd call myself a big fan of 7, and I feel really middle ground on the original version of this film.
Yeah, well, 7, the last...
There are some good things, and sometimes I'll rewatch it, because, I just feel like some Final Fantasy, but I don't feel like playing a Final Fantasy.
Yeah, I think everyone that really likes 7 will at least like some of the things in here. Because 7 is my favorite Final Fantasy, which I know is cliche, but that's the best one so far. So I do enjoy certain aspects to it. But then again, there is a part of me that's pissed off at them needing to add more and to switch shit around.
Right, they haven't really
constantly.
done that for any of the other Final Fantasies except for 10, or 13, I guess, now.
Yeah, 13 a lot.
Where they just feel like they need to keep adding shit, but they've not nearly added as much shit for 10 and 13 as they have for 7.
Right, and it is kind of an
I guess
open...
12 has a couple sequels.
Yeah, 12 does.
12 has a manga sequel, and then of course, the Nintendo sequel.
Yeah, what is it, like GameCube?
Was that a D? No, it was
DS. Yes.
We're going to have to get to that,
Yes, we are.
which means we need a DS.
It's true. But
We'll get to that in the question section.
right. Yeah, I mean, there's always going to be stuff that's,
Okay.
as a fan, you will like, and then as a fan, you will hate. And I'm on board with you. The changes... I just feel like you got to stick to a storyline, and this is something that, especially with the 7 storyline, they kind of beat it up in a lot of ways, and this is definitely no exception. The biggest example of it is Rufus being alive. Like that is just a huge misstep, and they didn't really need to have Rufus alive. They could have had Heidegger be the one that had Mother in the little chest or whatever. That would have been just fine.
Capsule.
Hiding her somewhere in plain sight because they're too stupid to censor, I guess, which is weird considering...
A good son would have known.
Yeah, well, I mean, Sephiroth would have known. He feels her. He senses her presence. That's why he's always going to where she's at.
Right.
So,
Okay.
it's all right.
So, okay, all right. So now we got to do a ranking. I don't know if we did this for our last 2 movies, but now that we
didn't.
have 3 movies, I think the only 3 Final Fantasy full-length movies. Am I correct on this?
As far as I know.
We'll add Unlimited when we finally finish that series
Correct.
to this movie and TV ranking. Best movie to worst movie. Go.
I'm counting Last Order.
Final Fantasy movies.
Counting Last Order.
Oh, you're counting Last Order.
Yes.
Okay, so then there's a few. Because there's also a little short, which we'll probably review next week for Final Fantasy. It's like Denzel something.
Really?
It's on that Blu-ray. Yeah.
Jeez.
It's another little short film.
All right, so best to worst?
Yeah.
The best Final...
Oh, no. Make it a countdown. Do it worst to best.
Worst to best?
Yeah.
Oh, man, this is tough. I might have to go Advent Children as... No, I'm going to go the Legend of the Crystals probably is the...
As the worst? Why do you feel that one's the worst?
Last Order. Last Order is probably the worst. And the reason why...
We had an overall positive review for Last Order. And we just ripped Advent Children for like 30 minutes.
We did, but I do kind of like Advent Children more.
Which I didn't mean to rip it the whole time, but kind of did.
I don't know, man. They're all kind of on the same level, really. They're not really that important. So it's hard to, like, care and to get behind. Okay, the best one is Spirits Within. That's the best movie.
Okay.
As far
I
as
agree with
film
you.
goes. And you know what? It has Final Fantasy references in it. Plenty of them.
Yeah. It could be a Final Fantasy.
Yeah, it very easily could be. Futuristic
More
Final
like
Fantasy.
a Final Fantasy spin-off game, Final Fantasy, but, you know,
Yeah,
it wouldn't
I would
be
say...
main series.
I would say that would be the best one. And then probably second... I don't know, maybe the Crystals one, because I enjoyed it. It was a little awkward, as we reviewed. There were some parts that were just dumb. But it was a decent callback. It didn't change a ton of stuff, because it was in the future a ton of time. So, I mean, we can't even judge it as a change. It was like hundreds of years. And we got to finally figure out that Bartz was, Sabin, essentially. He was ripped dude. And that one, there was some comedy in that one, so I enjoyed that. It wasn't all awkward.
It was a fun movie.
Scenes, yeah.
Yeah.
Then
Even with the nasty pirates.
Yeah, the pirates were really disturbing. Very disturbing, yet awesome. But after that, actually, you know what? I think Last Order might be better than Advent Children.
You are judging a short film against a full-length film, and that is really rough. So
it is
difficult. I get what you're
difficult.
saying.
There's a lot less time for mistakes in the shorter one, I suppose. But it only messes up a little bit on the story.
It's not canon, though.
It isn't canon. Advent Children is supposed to be canon.
It is canon, yeah.
So yes.
Advent Children Complete is now canon, and Advent Children is not, according to Nomura.
I would say Advent Children is probably the bottom of the list as far as films go in the series, because it isn't that great of a movie.
Okay.
What would you say? After my long and very difficult choice.
The worst one... I don't want to do this, because I don't feel... It's enjoyable enough that I've seen it a million times. Advent Children, I'm agreeing with you, is probably the worst out of those.
Okay.
It just has too many flaws from a film perspective, and it's kind of hard to watch, especially complete. The regular one, though, is a lot more entertaining. I'd still watch it, but the next worst one, so number 3 on the list of 4, would be Final Fantasy Legend of the Crystals. The animation quality was super low.
It was an old one, though. You gotta
It
remember
was
that.
old, but it's not like they
Didn't know how to draw back
didn't
then.
know how to draw. It was just
that's true.
it was a cheap animated film, and so, and things like the chocobo, like the featherless chocobo, kind of bugged me.
Oh, yeah, that was really weird.
But the movie was still fun and entertaining. It could have used probably a bigger threat instead of using the same old bad guy tropes from the series, from the game series. But I did enjoy that one. I did enjoy it. Before Crisis, although a forgettable film, I'm putting it at number 2.
Not Before Crisis.
Not Before Crisis. What is it? What? At number 2. I thought it was called Before Crisis.
No, it's Last Order.
Last Order. Whatever.
Before Crisis
Before
is a
Crisis
game.
was the mobile game, right?
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. I know you guys are going to dock me a star when you
Yeah, way to go,
put a
Joe.
review on there. It is 2 o'clock in the morning right now. Let's just keep that in mind. Last Order, I felt, really captured the feel of Final Fantasy VII, and a really good sequence from Final Fantasy VII reanimated in a very high quality 2D animation that I really enjoyed. I just felt like it got the tone right, you know?
I agree with that completely. Yeah,
So
it
I'm
did.
putting that on number 2, and as a short film, it may not be too terribly interesting, but I thought it was well crafted for the most part. And of course, I'm putting number 1 as Spirits Within. I know this is slightly controversial, believe it or not. On the internet, at least, Spirits Within gets a lot of hate. And it didn't do well at the box office. But I do believe that out of the Final Fantasy movies that we have seen, now there is a short on this Advent Children DVD that we haven't seen that I can't remember the title of, but we'll review it probably next week. You want to do that?
Yeah, we could do that.
Okay. And then there is also Final Fantasy Unlimited, which we have not finished. We are 1/5 of the way through. You'll know what episodes we're on based upon what commentaries come out.
Right.
Out of those 4, Spirits Within is definitely the strongest one, and strongest by far.
Yeah.
It's a well-structured Hollywood film in the realm of Final Fantasy, set on Earth, which kind of makes it a little bit out of place. The animation is high quality, the story is interesting, the characters are very interesting, the voice acting is phenomenal.
Right.
I just thought it was a great film, or a good film. I thought it was a good film.
Yeah. It's
Great film is like Lawrence of Arabia and
Right. It's
and 2001.
It's gonna have to be a
The
really
Godfather. That's a great film. This is a good film.
Really good Final Fantasy film to be a great film. But yeah, I agree with you on the Spirits Within. I mean, by far their best yet. And
Their best film.
Yeah. As far as films go, it might not be the one that's the most fun, but it is the best one. So.
All right, so that's going to wrap up our review. Shall we get to the question segment?
Yes, let's.
Questions for us. We would like to hear from you. To moments. Contact us on Twitter. Get on and ask your questions. We'll answer them within a week. This is the question segment. Ask and you will receive.
All right, Branny from our forums asks, but what was the setup and party at the end of Final Fantasy VII? Just interested. I think you might have answered this. If so, ignore. I think we did.
I don't think we did. I don't think we said specifically what our party at the end was, but we implied it.
I know I said what mine was.
Okay. Mine was Cloud, Tifa, and Vincent. It has been since the beginning of time. Just my choice party. I really like Vincent's limit breaks after, of course, that first one. That is annoying on a certain boss. But yeah, I always seem to go that direction. You use Tifa and Cloud so much in the game that it's almost always Tifa and Cloud plus one.
It is, yeah.
Whoever you decide to be, the most useful. Of course, there are people that play the game differently than myself that would use a different party, but that's what I ended up with.
Okay.
And I ended up in the game, I had Cloud with 4 times cut, and then everybody cast hero drinks on him, and he just killed Sephiroth really quickly.
Okay.
So that's what happened. He was doing max damage, took like 9 hits.
Yeah, he is really easy. He's one of the easiest bosses.
Right.
Kefka is really easy too, but Sephiroth...
Kefka was really easy, but thanks to Ultima.
I don't know, dude. I kicked his ass without it. I had the weapon. And I didn't even have the offering equipped. I was just doing single attacks for 10,000.
But you were doing 8 in a row.
No, only 1. I didn't equip it.
Oh, you didn't equip it? Wow, good job.
I was doing 10,000 every time that guy hit. So I mean, it was.
I didn't have a problem on it either, and I might have had an easier time than you, but
yours was faster because
okay.
he would attack. I didn't have 10,000
okay.
magic going.
So what
towards
was
him.
your party again?
My final party was Cloud,
Dun dun dun.
Tifa,
Dun dun dun.
and Sid.
Bum, bum. Why Sid?
Sid just because of his triple growth weapon. I used him to level up the materia to go fight the weapons, and he was higher level, so I used him. Normally, my party always going through the game is Cloud, Tifa, and Barrett, because I like their characters.
Okay.
And Barrett's limit breaks get disgusting by the end. He's doing, basically Omni-Slash.
That's cool.
Yeah, so that's
I never used
normally
Barrett that far into the game.
And ultimate weapons on everybody. Times 4 cut, counter attacks out the ass for Cloud, and I don't even have to attack most of the time. I get hit, and then I just kill. The arena was difficult because I would counter everything and kill it before I could use the hero drink to prepare for the next layer kind of a thing. So that was my final party.
All right. So we got another question here from Amerline1. He says, So have you all ever thought of writing editorials for the site on various things, Square Enix / Final Fantasy? It would be either something new or something based on a piece of info you had on the show, but one that you wanted to expand on. Also, ever consider letting the fans of the show help out in that way? For instance, a tactics you need to know could be during a certain day of the week, but be based on the game you were currently playing. I was thinking I'd be interested to detail how each party member's ultimate weapons for the game and stuff like that. So he's basically asking about, adding more... I think he's asking about adding more articles and stuff to the site. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think so.
And whether or not they could send in, or whether or not we were going to go into more details on things like tactics you might need. Gammon Stark gave him a response, said, he liked the idea of just posting it on the forums, and I kind of already answered this question. Certainly, if you wish to add a tactics you might need, which is of course one of our ongoing segments, and we'll probably have we'll have a Final Fantasy VIII one sometime in the future.
Oh yeah.
Because some people have posted on that. I think Mega Messiah posted a really big detailed one that we'll have to get into sometime in the future when we're talking about 8 a little bit more, which is of course the game that we're on, if you guys haven't been following.
Right.
As far as website editorials, I gotta tell you, this podcast is a lot of work as it is. Just doing the audio and doing the games, of course. I mean, it takes up a lot of our time. Certainly, when we get to the point when we update the website, which will be someday, I want to expand it to to be like one of the big Final Fantasy fan sites that are out there, like the unofficial Final Fantasy site, or Final Fantasy Shrine, or I'm just trying to think of other good fan sites out there right now. What's the one that we always had on Twitter?
Eyes on FF.
Eyes on FF. That's a really good site.
Yeah, theirs is really good.
And then my favorite Final Fantasy site, besides Final Fantasy Wiki, which has kind of replaced every Final Fantasy fan site for me, Final Fantasy something.
Yeah. I found Caves of Narsh to be excellent.
Oh,
for
Caves
guides.
of Narsh is also just like, oh crap, Compendium.
Compendium. There
I was
you go.
having trouble remembering that word. Final Fantasy Compendium. Unfortunately, he stopped updating the site after a while, so it really only has information to 12. But it was basically the Final Fantasy Wiki before there was Final Fantasy Wiki.
Okay.
So something like that would be awesome. And the day that we update the site, we will certainly be taking in stuff like that. But right now, we're using a WordPress.com site, which it's not like WordPress.org. It's not the coding or anything like that. I just don't have the time. I know how to do the coding. I just don't have the time to do it. So I just set up a blog site, basically, for our podcast.
Yeah.
Now, when that website will be updated, I mean, I might update it separately, but we do have a Patreon goal for the website to be completely vamped over.
Yeah.
So it'll have, we'll hire a guy that we know that does websites, and we'll have him make a forum area and have the whole website be member-based. So the forums would eventually, be replaced
Right.
by real forums for the site. And the whole site would be member-based, and it would be like Final Fantasy Compendium, only up to the games that are still
Correct,
out
yeah.
now. So something really detailed, really good, but I don't have the time to write all that stuff right now. Certainly our Patreon goal, if it gets to 200, I'll have someone else do it. And then, of course, after that, we'll have to fill it with content.
Yeah. Which is not going to be as difficult as creating it. So
No.
it is in the works at some point. But
Yeah. So support us on Patreon.
yeah, that and just use the forums that we have currently for that kind of stuff.
Right. These forums will be being used for a while.
Yes.
Okay, we got another question here from Shinru.
He says, I got this idea from the fact that Final Fantasy fans like myself have insane reactions to Final Fantasy trailers. I'll admit I went crazy at E3 when that new PS4 FF15 trailer was shown. One thing that the other podcasts do not do is a reaction video for a new Final Fantasy when the trailers are released. Below is a video, okay, never mind. All right, so he's asking, can we do reaction
He gave us an
videos?
example of
He
a
did give
reaction
us an
video.
example, a couple actually,
Yeah.
which I have seen a few of those. What do you think?
What did you respond to him? What did you say to that? What was your reaction to that?
I was like, yeah, that's a good idea.
It's kind of a good idea. The problem is that we have both sat down and watched the trailers, and we kind of just sit there and wait till the trailer's over and then go, oh, that was cool.
Yeah, I don't ever like.
I mean, besides the Final Fantasy 15 trailer, the newest one, the newest big one that came
Yeah.
out, I was kind of freaking out about that.
that one was really sweet.
Maybe we should do that. I mean, we just watched the Type 0 trailer for the news. Maybe we should have.
It's already too
Should have
late.
recorded ourselves, just going, cool, and then
Yeah,
like going on.
click.
Yeah. It's an idea. You know what? We'll talk about this amongst ourselves. I don't have an answer for you right now.
Yeah,
I'll be honest. My answer is that maybe. Maybe. I don't know. What do you feel about React? I'm not feeling that strongly towards it, I'll be honest.
It's going to be difficult. I mean, it's a series that takes forever to come out with a game, so they're not going to be very frequent. Plus, we already know so much about them as they're being talked about, we're getting tidbits of information that it might not be quite as exciting as it would be for one of you guys to be watching this trailer.
Maybe they want to see just the reaction to it, though.
Perhaps.
I tell you what, the next big trailer that I see up, I'll try to have Caleb remember. You remember this. If you see a trailer, don't press play.
Okay.
Wait till we're together and we'll record a little video of us watching the trailer.
All right, yeah, we'll try it out.
We'll try it.
Why not?
Yeah. Different answer than the other one.
Yes, very different.
We'll try it.
Maybe to why not.
And if you guys like it, maybe we'll do it over again.
Yeah.
All right, and then we have another question from Shinru. Will you guys on the podcast have bought a PS4 or Xbox One in order to play Final Fantasy Type 0 by the time it comes out in March 2015? Will you take the chance to take a break and postpone playing all the main FF games in order and play Type 0 for the podcast and then go back to whatever the next main FF game will be? If not, will you at least play the Final Fantasy 15 demo that comes with Final Fantasy Type 0 for the podcast? By March, I estimate that you will probably be around getting to start Final Fantasy X. So I was just wondering what you guys were planning on doing in regards to new FF titles coming out, and if you would take a break and play those for the podcast. We have argued about this behind the scenes.
We have
No
very
video
behind the
for
scenes.
it, though.
I was for it very strongly in the beginning. And not that Joe swayed me.
And I was against it.
Not that he swayed me in any way. But I don't know if Type 0 is important enough to stop the main series. 15, yes. And the demo for 15, you bet your ass. We're playing the demo. We're doing an episode on the demo.
Right, we'll do an episode on the demo.
We're doing an
agreed
episode
on
on 15. It doesn't matter if we're in the middle of 10. Anything. We're going to stop and we're playing 15. We're probably not going to stop because the release isn't going to sneak up on us. You know, it's not going to be like...
Right, it's going to be, let's get done with this shit.
It's not going to be like the LaCie building in 13 where they're like, it's just kind of there, right outside of our big town. It just appeared one night. You remember that? Yeah. They're like, it just showed up one night. I'm like, what, it snuck up on you? Anyway, it's not going to be like that. We're going to know about it. We're going to plan our gaming around it. We will definitely stop for 15. Type 0...
No.
I'm going to have one.
We're not going to start. We're going to buy it, but we're not going to start it.
Yeah. I'm going to have a PS4 by then.
It's got to be we'll play the demo.
Well, yes, the demo we will play and we will do an episode on. But Type 0 is a spin-off by all regards, or sort of.
Yeah, and then we've had other Final Fantasy spin-offs come out around us in this time.
Yeah, I mean,
we didn't
Theater
stop to play
Rhythm.
Those.
We didn't stop that, yeah. And it's got to be a main title, a main game.
Right.
Unless it's one that we really,
and hopefully we're
really
done
wanna
through
play.
14 by then.
If we do 14.
Or 13 too, whichever one we decide.
Yes. Which, of course, is also an ongoing debate.
Other podcasts would probably go ahead and play Type 0, but we're not.
No.
We have a premise for the show. It's to play the games in order. And we'll decide what the spin-off order is later. But
and we'll also
games,
decide on the MMOs.
We're playing in order, and when you're doing that, you don't have time, really, for other games.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. And I'm not a video game player, so me putting out time for a video game is kind of rough. Because, I get put to sleep easily and a whole bunch of other stuff, so...
Right.
Yeah. I'm a binger more than that. I can't just play for, 2 hours a day. I have to, not play the whole day or, play the entire day.
That's kind of not good.
Yeah, it's not good.
It's probably better to regulate it a little bit each day.
Maybe.
And it's a little more structured for the show, too. So
Maybe. But I usually get it done in time.
Yeah, we do.
7 done so quickly, though. I think that was our last question. I hope you guys aren't too mad about us not stopping for Type 0. We certainly were in heavy debates about it.
yeah. And I think it looks awesome, so I'm excited to play
it does look good, and it is Hajime Tabata. So it would be kind of nice for me to play one of the games that he's made to, kind of get a clue for what 15 is going to feel like.
Right.
Now you've played Crisis Core, so
Yeah.
I guess you know better than I do.
Yeah, I do.
So, yeah. So that's going to be it for this week. We want to thank you guys for listening to our review of Final Fantasy VII Advent Children. Next week we'll be discussing whatever that short film is on the DVD of Advent Children. And for our Patreon backers, we want to thank you for backing us. If you wish to back us on Patreon, go to patreon.com. Give us $1 a month. I think that's a good estimate. Or give us $3 a month. You get your name shouted out.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet.
You got to tell us whether or not you want it to be your real name or if you want it to be your avatar name.
Yeah,
But,
we don't want to be breaking any boundaries with you here.
right. I don't actually know the real name of one of our backers, but I got to find out about that. I'll send him a message on the forum right after we're done with this. Also, I need his address to send him the sticker.
Well, I'm sure he's going to listen to the episode. So
Yeah, I hope so.
he
I
could
hope he
come
makes
back.
it this far through the reviews.
Yes.
Yeah. So our next goal is the $75 goal. We're right now at $24. At $75, you will get HD video of behind the scenes of Ultima Final Fantasy, the Ultimate Final Fantasy podcast on YouTube. Unfortunately, we don't have behind the scenes today, our SD behind the scenes today.
Yes.
Just because Google Hangouts doesn't want to work. But if we have the HD, it wouldn't matter if Google Hangouts is working or not.
Yeah, it's going to be all on a high-definition camera. So.
Right, exactly. And I got 2 high-definition cameras, so if one of them doesn't work, got the other one.
You're right.
One's in 1080, one's in 720.
We'll go for the 1080.
We'll go for the 1080 unless something happens. And if something happens, I'm going to be pissed, because that camera was expensive. It's more expensive than anything I own. So...
Wow.
Yeah, that's fun stuff. Anyway, yeah, go donate $1 to $3, just a little bit.
Yeah, we appreciate anything you guys can offer us, and
Yeah,
the biggest thing is just keep listening.
that is the biggest
Recommend
thing.
us, give us the reviews, keep on loving us, and we'll keep loving you back.
We'll keep loving you back anyway.
We will, yeah, no matter
We
what.
love you no matter what.
It's unconditional love, is what you're getting out of this here.
Exactly. All right, you guys. It is 2:17 a.m. and we're done here.
Yes, enjoy the grind.
This has been another production of Ultima Final Fantasy, the Ultimate Final Fantasy podcast. The show was produced by Joseph DeGollier and Caleb Schweiss, with music and editing by Joseph DeGollier, parodies and clips from their respective authors, of course. You can get all of our episodes as well as our Let's Plays at ultimafinalfantasy.com. You can also contact us on Twitter at UFF Podcast, as well as our contact page on our website. Be sure to subscribe and review our podcast. Your reviews may get read on the show, and look forward to the next episode of Ultima Final Fantasy, the Ultimate Final Fantasy podcast.